Hi everyone. Now today in this video we are going to understand how we can convert this big chunk of data into a beautiful dashboard or a kind of a report which can look like this or even better. Now through pivot table this is going to be a super simple task. Now I have a very big data we are going to deal with, okay? And let us start by understanding the data first of all. Now, this is a transaction history of a company in the year 2015. Now, this company is dealing into the product categories like, let me just zoom into this section to show you. These are auto and accessories, electronic, fashion, home, and furniture. Now, all these product categories were being sold in the year 2015. Now, all of the order dates are associated with the same year. This is 2015. Now, in each transaction, this company was recording the informations related to the transactions like order ID, order date, ship date. Now there is a difference between order date and ship date. You can see that. Now, all that difference between the order date and ship date is mentioned as aging into the aging column. Now, in aging column, you can clearly see that some of the orders were taking only one day to be shipped. Fine. So one day order was being taken, and on the other day the shipment went away. Okay. Now some of the orders are there which are taking too much time, as 8 days or even 10 days. Now there can be like even more days. You can see you maybe see in the later on records. Okay. Now over here, after this we have ship mode. Now this company was sending the ships or the shipments with the ship modes like first class, same day, second class, standard class. Okay, so by these also we can create some reports. Okay, now product categories, there are four product categories. In the product category auto necessaries, we have these types of products. Now there are other product categories also which are available beneath the cells. Fine, so beneath some rows you are going to see. Now almost we have these 50,291 records of data in this sheet. So in these 51,290 rows of records, we have all these four product categories related sales. Now there is a sales column which is a completely numerical column, quantity column, discount, profit, shipping cost. You can keep an eye on the formula bar to understand this. So shipping cost, okay, order priority, customer ID. There is some customer related information also. The customer ID, customer name, segment of the customer. There are different types of customers this company is dealing in. There are some consumers, corporate, and home and office. Okay. Now, next is some geographical information regarding these transactions. The transactions happened in which city, which state, which country, and what was the region. Fine. And then in the last, I'm having a column named as months. Okay. Now, months are already like months definitely would be related to the order dates. Okay. Now, let's just start our procedure to convert this data into some meaningful report. The very first report I would like to create is product category wise. I would like to see the sales numbers. Fine. So I'm going to use these two columns only to convert this big chunk of data into a kind of a report. I'm not going to use any kind of formulas and functionalities. Traditionally, if you want to do it with formulas and functionality, this work can be done with the use of remove duplicates by just copying this data and removing the duplicates. Or in Office 365, you can use unique function to just get the unique values which are there into this column. No matter how much long data you are going to give it, it is going to give you unique records out of it, like only for product categories. Now against this, if you want to get the sum of sales, you will be using sum if functionality. And if you want to do it without writing any kind of functionality, you can use pivot table. Now pivot table is the most powerful tool we have in Excel. So let's just start with converting this chunk of data into meaningful report by just using pivot table. Now To use pivot table using the same data, I do not need to completely select it. Even if I am clicked on any one cell inside the data, I can go with the insert pivot table from table or range. Now I'm not going to go with any kind of an external data source, so I have my data into this workbook only, and I am also active on that data. So I'll just select this option from table or range. When I select this will open up a dialog box showing me that it has automatically selected the data around my active cell. Now, it has selected A1 to V 51,291 rows. Now, there are 51,290 records, and one row is associated with the heading, so that is why 91 rows. Okay, choose where you want to place the pivot table. I want it into a new worksheet, so I'll just simply go with OK, and without changing anything, I will land up into a new sheet. And this is going to open up a new sheet on which, on the right hand side, I'm going to get the pivot table fields panel. Now this is pivot table fields panel. It is going to show me all the fields or columns which were there into my data. Fine. And beneath that, I have four boxes. Fine. Now columns, rows, values, filters. Fine. So basically four boxes. Now these four boxes, I would like to quickly recap on that. These four boxes associated with like this kind of a thing. When I start with pivot tables, I'm going to create a pivot table report or a table kind of a report in which the headings are going to remain into this blue area, which is going to be called as column wise headings. Now this yellow area contained uh, headings will be called as row wise headings. In between, this green area will have or will show me the values against the headings I'm having into this blue area and the yellow area. And like in a more clear way, if I say, these are the blue area will contain only the column wise headings, which are like C D E F G H kind of headings. So these are column wise headings. Okay, now the yellow area will show me the row headings, basically row wise headings. And in the green area, you're going to see the numbers or the values against these two headings or either of these headings. Fine. So probably you wish to keep only one type of heading into your report, like only column wise headings or only row wise headings. So that depends on your report or your visualization. Fine. Now let us just start with creating a report. Now over here, whatever you see into these four boxes, the columns, the box which says columns going to is basically referring to the column wise headings. Fine, the blue area. Okay, now the box which is saying rows is actually going to contain the yellow area or the row wise headings. Fine, so whatever you want to drag and drop into the yellow area, you will keep it into the rows area. Okay, or whatever you want to keep into values, or whatever column on which you want to aggregate on, you will just drag and drop into values. Okay, let's just practice this and see what happens when I drag and drop something into these boxes. Now into the values area, mostly you're going to drop a column which is a number containing column, fine, on which you want to aggregate on. Probably you want to have a sum, count, average, or maximum you would like to know, or minimum you would like to know of that column. You are going to drag and drop that column into the values area. Now let us just take the most popular sales numbers. So I'll just simply drag this from that area into the values area. As and when I drop this over here, it is going to give me the complete sum of all the numbers I'm having into that column. Now, let me just take you to the data area, and I would like to just select complete column from top to bottom using Control Shift down arrow key, and I would like to show you that what is the total of this selected column. Now, it is 8024111. That's the same value I'm getting into my pivot table. Now over here, 8024111 is actually my total sales throughout the year. Now, against this, I want to filter this single number into those many parts, as many product categories we do have. Now, do you remember what all product categories we were dealing in? Auto and accessories, electronic, fashion, home and furniture. Fine, so there are four product categories. Now, this product category column, if I just go over here and pick this up from here and would like to drop it into column wise headings or the blue area, it will sh- instantly show me the unique values into that column, and against which I will be able to see the sum of sales. Like auto and accessories, electronic, fashion, home and furniture, and the grand total is this one. Now I can also just move this headings from the blue area to the yellow area, and my report will start looking like this instantly. Now this is a very, like, very quickly you're going to get the results with this. Fine, I do not need to know the syntax of the functionality called a sum if or sum ifs to get this kind of a result. Fine. Now if I want some more aggregation against this product category, I maybe would like to know how many transactions happened with auto necessaries, how many transactions happened with electronic, fashion, home and furniture. Fine, we know that we are dealing with more than 50,000 of rows, but how many rows are associated with each of these product categories? I'll just simply drag and drop the sales again into the values. Now when I drop it over here again, I can change the aggregation. Like by default, aggregation you're going to get by using pivot table is the sum of the values. Now you can change it by just right click. Like the quickest way can be this, there are other ways also. I can right click on any one cell into this column, and I in the right click menu I can hit towards summarize values by. Now I can see I'm already active on an aggregation which is sum. I can change it to count, average, max, min, product, anything. I would like to change it to count just to see the count of records which are associated with each of these product categories. Now you can see out of 51,290 rows, how many transactions happened with each product category. Now this is how you can very quickly change it to see the average, count, even the maximum transaction amount or the minimum transaction amount against these product categories. Fine. Now there may be a chance that you would like to know another, like I would like to get rid of these two, sum of sales and count of sales. Okay, there may be a chance that you would like to know something different. This time I want to know the contribution of these product categories in making up my complete revenue, like the consolidated revenue. Now how much percentage of that revenue in the year 2015 was coming from auto and accessories, electronic, fashion, home and furniture? I would like to drag and drop sales into values again, and I want it to be converted into a percentage considering the total grand total as 100%. How much percentage is coming from auto necessaries, electronic, fashion, home and furniture? I can right click on any one cell into this column, and I can go with the option not summarize values by, but this time I will go with show values as. Now in show values as, I will head towards an option which says percentage of grand total. Now if I click on this, percentage of grand total will convert this data in showing up me the percentage of contribution coming from each one of these categories. Now this kind of an information, like this kind of a report is very quickly telling me that 65% of the total revenue is coming from only one product category we are dealing with. Okay, and electronics is a product category which is not making much, basically not contributing much into the total revenue. Fine, so we can just, like, management would like to make decisions on the basis of the reports we are creating. Okay, great, guys. So now let us just move to the data and would like to create one more report. Now, this time I would like to create a report which is going to be a two headings report. Okay. Let us say that I want to deal with three columns or three fields into this data: product category, product, and sales. I'm going to use these three columns only, but I will take up all that data into pivot table and would like to use only these three informations from this chunk of data. Now this time I'm going to create a pivot table report using the shortcut key. Now I'll start with the shortcut key as alt nvt For Office 365, if you are using an older version, Alt NV will be the shortcut key. So I'm going to use Alt NVT, enter. This will take me to a blank sheet having the pivotable fields on the right hand side. Okay. Now I can just simply would like to create a pivotable report, which is going to be a product wise sales report very quickly. So I have all the products written on the left hand side, sales numbers against those products are written over here. Now we are dealing with 42 products. When I select this whole column at the bottom of the screen, I can see the count is 42. Now there are 42 products this company was dealing in these four product categories. Now let us say that I want to create this, like I want to convert this report to show me numbers based on product as well as product categories. Now this time, the very first thing I would like to do is that I will drag and drop the product categories into columns area or the blue area. This will instantly convert this report into two headings report. Basically, on the yellow area or the row wise headings, you have the products. On the blue area, you have the product categories, and at the intersection of each one, like product and the product category, you have this number. And whenever you have no number, you can see that there is like no intersection. So these all products are associated with only one category, which is auto necessaries. So that is why I'm having blanks against every other product category over here. Now this report is not a very good visual. Basically, now this is a little confusing. If you want to get to any number, it becomes very confusing for you to see the numbers or understand this report is a little bit difficult. Fine. How I can make it a little more understandable? This can be done not by keeping product category into the columns. This can be kept into filters. First of all, I would like to show you how the filters is going to work. If I just drag and drop, like, first of all, I would like to see the report which is only showing me product wise sales. Okay. Now this report can be filtered based on the four product categories we have into product category. Okay, so I'll just drag and drop the product category into filters. Now this will instantly show me a drop down at the top of this report where I can select auto necessaries to see only those products which are associated with auto necessaries. This will filter complete report to show me only auto necessaries related products. I can just change it to electronic and I can see the report against it. I can change it to home and furniture and the report will show me only the products which are associated with home and furniture. Fine. Now the third visual, like this is one of the visual. If you want to talk about product category wise, like one by one to your audience, you can just change it and talk about the report. Okay. Now I would like to select all into the filters and would like to get rid of the product categories from the filters area. Now I have 42 products against which I have sum of sales. Now I would like to show you the third visual of the same report or the same data. Basically, I can drag and drop the product category this time. I'll pick it up from there and drop it into the yellow area or the row wise headings area just above the products. Now, remember this thing, product category is a broad category. Now, under four product categories, we have 42 products. So you need to remember or take care of this hierarchy by keeping these things into row wise headings like product category and product wise sum of sales. Now, this will convert this report into a very nice collapse and expand manner report. Now, you can collapse and expand each one of these categories to see the products against it or products under that product category and see the numbers against it. Now, these are the subtotals you are having over here. Now, this report can be made more readable by changing the layouts. Now, this report is very much efficient and do not give you any kind of confusing view, but this can be also made a little bit more readable if I have dedicated columns for each field I am selecting. Basically, now it would be better if I had column A associated with product categories, column B should show me the products against that, and C column should show me the numbers of sales against these things. Okay. Now, to change this layout, I need to head towards the pivot table analyze tab, which is a temporary tab or contextual tab you get when you are clicked inside the pivot table. Now, if I click outside the pivot table, this will vanish. If I click inside again, you will see the tabs which are very much associated with pivot table. Now, this over here, I will not go into pivot table analyze, but I will go into design tab. Now, in the design tab, you are going to first of all see very much prominent the pivot table styles basically. Fine, so you can just choose any color over here just by hovering my mouse on it. I can change, I can see the what all changes are going to happen when I select any one of these styles. Okay, now in the same ribbon you are going to see the extreme left hand side layout section. Okay, now this is the command group named as layout, where I can change the layout from report layout drop down. Now, in this drop down, basically, you're going to see the very first option, which is compact form. By default, pivot table remains into compact form. If I just want to change it to any other layout, I need to go with the outline form or tabular form. As I click on any one of these two, you are going to see that same view achieved which we were thinking about, having dedicated columns for each field we are selected on. Okay, I can also fill this value downwards into all of these cells just by going to the same area, pivot table design, pivot table layouts area, report layout. And if I go to this option, repeat all item labels, this will basically fill it down. Okay, so all of the item labels are going to fill down into all of that area where the auto and accessories related products are there. Now, this report is the most efficient or most readable report you can create with pivot table. Or if you have it like two columns, like two headings report, this is the most efficient report. Now let's just go to the data and start making our uh, making our end report, or let's just make something which is very uh, which looks like a little bit of dashboard. Okay, now the very first report I would like to create is by grouping the data. Okay, here I want to get the monthly report using these single dates containing column. Okay, so using the order date I want to create a monthly report. Now this process will require me to group the dates to show a periodic report which is going to be a monthly report. Okay, now I'll just click inside the data anywhere and use the shortcut key alt nvt enter. This will take me to a new sheet where I can create a report. Okay. Now, first of all, I would like to drag and drop. Let us say that this time we are going to work with profit. I will just drag and drop profit, that numerical field, into the values. Okay. Against which I would like to see these numbers splitted into 12 values which show me the monthly report. Basically it's like January to December report. Okay, now here I can drag and drop the order date. Now order date is something which is having into my data which is having like single dates. Okay, so I'll just drag and drop the order date from that fields area and I'll drop it into the rows area. It will convert. Now pivot table is very much polite, it will automatically group the things into months, quarters, or years sometime, but you can ungroup it and group it on your choice. Fine, so let me just simply right click on any one cell into this area. Okay, so in the right click menu I will go to the option which says ungroup. Fine, so I'll just first of all say ungroup. This will show you the actual picture of the data. Like this is going to ungroup everything and will show you the data by single date, like sum of sales per date which is there into the data. Okay, now next is that I would like to group these dates based on my own choice. I can just right click in the right click menu. With the ungroup we have the grouping option also. I can simply go with this group option, and in this group option I need to like whatever values or whatever terms by which I want to group these single dates, I can just click on that. I want, let us say I want quarterly and monthly report. Fine. So I want the numbers should be grouped into quarters and numbers also. So this report will turn itself to show me a very quick quarter and month wise report. Fine. Now this is a collapse and expand manner report again. Okay, I can expand each one of these quarters to see the months coming inside that, and I can see the numbers against it. The total quarter is this one. Now these are going to act as subtotals, and at the bottom of the report you're going to see the grand total of the total profit earned in this complete year. Okay, and this is 4 quarters. Now let's just right click and go to group option again. Here I can change the options. I do not want quarter wise, but I only want month wise report. I will simply unselect the quarters and be selected on months, and I'll say okay. Now this will turn up my report to show me a report like this. Simple report. Let us say I want to have a visual also with this report, which should be connected with this report. Whenever numbers changes over here, I want to see that visual also should be changing. I will go to pivot table analyze tab. In the pivot table analyze tab, now remember this tab will be visible only if you are inside the pivot table, if you are clicked inside the pivot table, otherwise it will vanish. Okay, I'll just simply go inside the pivot table and go to pivot table analyze tab, and there is an option into this pivot table analyze ribbon. Now into older versions, guys, also remember this can be called as pivot table tools or pivot table area, or any other name can also be used for this contextual or temporary tab. Now I will go to this option which says pivot chart. Now simply by clicking on this pivot chart option, it shows me all the charts which you can create with this pivot, with this report or pivot table report you are having. I would like to go with bar chart, simple bar chart. Okay, although you can go with any other chart also, like pie chart or a column chart or a line chart, but I am going with bar chart. Just for learning purpose, we are going with bar chart. Okay, now with the pivot table, whenever you are going to create a pivot chart, you're going to see some filters which are a part of the chart also. Now the same filters I would like to use it from the outside of this chart, so I will get rid of this. First of all, to get rid of these filters from the chart, you just need to right click on any gray button on the chart and just go with this option which says hide all field buttons on the chart. Now this will simply take away those gray buttons from the chart. Let me just resize this pivotable fields area. Okay, now getting rid of anything from the chart is very simple. I am dealing with one category only, and I would like to get this uh, color coding legend away from here. So I'll just click on this and press delete button on the keyboard. I'll click on this chart title also, and I can click on um, the delete button. Okay, so simply delete button on the keyboard will get rid of these things. If you want to add anything in the chart, I can just simply go to this plus sign, and let's say I want to get rid of these background lines. I'll just click on this grid lines and it will go away. And if I want to have the data labels, which are the numbers against these bars, so I would like to have this one. And removing this scale at the bottom, I will just simply click on this scale, any one number into this scale, and press delete button on my keyboard. This will get vanish. Okay, now if you also want to get rid of these background lines, the mesh you are having of these behind the numbers, so you can just simply go to view ribbon and get rid of these grid lines. Okay, so there is an option of grid line. If you just uncheck this, you will get a very clear background of your uh, sheet. Okay, now the next thing is that I want to have a filter with my report, and this that too a modern filter. Okay, I want a modern kind of a filter with my pivot table, which should like filter this report to show me product category wise the same report. Okay, now I just be inside the pivot table. This time I will not go with this type of a filter which I'm getting from the pivot table fields area. but I'm going to use a modern kind of filter, like a kind of a button shaped filter from the pivot table. Okay, now I'll be inside the pivot table anywhere clicked, so that I'm able to see the pivot table analyze tab at the top. I'll go to pivot table analyze tab, and there is, in this ribbon, there is an area which is the command group named as filters. Now I'm going to use this filters command group to select insert slicer. Now I'll click on insert slicer, which will open up a dialog box showing me all the fields by which I can have the slicer. Okay, let's say I go with the product category over here and say okay, and this will show me instantly, it will get me 4 buttons on my screen. Now this report can be very quickly filtered based on these product categories. If I click on auto necessaries, all the numbers into this report as well as in this chart will start showing me the monthly sales from January to December associated with auto and accessories category only. If I click on electronic, this will have a smooth transition and start showing me the report related to electronics category, fashion, and if you want, home and furniture. Now if I want to get rid of every filter applied into this area, I can just click on this clear filters icon at the top. Now this will clear the filters, and the grand total becomes the total of the complete year. Okay, now I can also have in any report, in any one visual report or two visual report, I can also have more than one filters or slicers. In the form of slicers, basically I can have more than one filters. Let us say I have 4 product categories, so I'll just keep it like this. I can resize it and would like to have one more filter. So I can go with pivot table analyze tab, insert slicer, and let's say I want to have region also, uh, according to which I want to have a filter. So I can just simply click on that, and I can keep it over here. Now, I can instantly see in this report what was happening throughout the world, throughout the year, uh, throughout the year in auto necessaries category in Africa. Fine. So simply you can filter this report by two filters this time: product and region wise. Electronics category in Canada, how was its performance and what all profits we were getting throughout the year. Fine. So you can see the very less we have earned into July and June, and the most profit we have got in October month. Fine. So in different categories, in different region, what was the performance? So that is what you can get through this report. Guys, I hope you have liked this tutorial, and you will be able to make out something from this, and your uh, reports, like whatever data you are working on, you will be able to apply the same tools and same process with that data to learn pivot table. Now this is completely no code tutorial, so for this tool to be used, you do not need to know the complex functionalities of Excel. Just by dragging and dropping at the right place, like the things at the right place, you will be able to create or convert this chunk of data into a beautiful or meaningful report, and very much a dynamic report by this tool, pivot table. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video. Thank you.